Welcome. Welcome to another art challenge at Swatches. I am Clint, and this is Diana. And before we jump into the art reviews for the challenge, we just have a few announcements to go through. And we're also going to check our stream issues. Anybody that's here live joining us, just give her a holler in the chat if everything looks and sounds okay. Everything looks okay on this side. Now, if you're watching this recording, obviously feel free to just skip ahead to the art reviews if you want to, but otherwise we want to make sure that the stream is good before we get going. Looks like that camera is still...
I don't know how to fix it. Okay.
That looks a little better. There we go. Okay, so a couple of notes before we jump into it. This is part one of 3 live stream reviews for this Harry Potter themed art challenge. This is completely unofficial. We have no ties whatsoever to the Wizarding World property or creators.
This is a fan event. I just want to offer the legal disclaimer so we don't get sued.
Yeah.
And we sold tickets in exchange for our time in the event. So we are not selling any of the copyright material, and none of the artwork is paid. So all the participants have created this artwork on their own, and no one is affiliated with the property.
Yeah. We just thought it would be a fun topic to do a TCG or trading card game style like Magic the Gathering, but put it in the theme of the Harry Potter universe and location. And that's what the participants are doing. They were given a PDF with about 15, I think, is what we came to, different briefs or outlines for images, and they got to choose which image they wanted to do.
And we can publish those on the Discord after the challenge is over, so that anyone that wants to review them and take a crack at some of the images on their own can do so.
Yeah. So we are getting 2 weeks in between each live stream review. They will send in the color roughs of their scenes in 2 weeks, April 16th, followed by the finals on April 30th. You can see right there, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time in the U.S. Now, if you're looking for any additional art training, then check out swatchesacademy.com. We have courses for beginners all the way up to semi-pro level. That just shows an example from the materials rendering course. Alex did that. He did a really good job in his class. And most of the classes have this sort of approach. It's just taking you through from week 1 to week 8 and just building your skills in a very systematic way in order to come out with a nice professional result at the end. And we do have a whole batch of courses that are in development right now, as well as a set of new instructors who are really specialists in topics that we're not, in order to introduce some new subjects to Academy.
I think you guys are really going to enjoy them. They're really good people, great professionals. So I'm really excited to share their classes with you once they're ready.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to switch over and look at the artwork. But first, if you would, if anyone who is a participant of the challenge would just give a shout out in the chat, just to let me know I'm participating.
I think I see a lot of them already.
Yeah, okay. Abraham, I see Kurt, Janine, Frank.
Erica, are you a participant? I think so.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of the participants are here. Cool. Well, let's take a look. All right, this is just the order they're in for whatever reason. So we'll just go through this order. Erica, we'll be starting with you. Now, Erica chose to do the Rowena Ravenclaw, Mistress of Wisdom. This is a horizontal scene. All of these images are horizontal scenes with loud trucks outside.
Sorry about the noise.
And obviously based on one of the founders of Hogwarts, the Ravenclaw house was based on her. We don't get a full description of her in the book because she had long since, passed away. So we just wrote something that we thought would be in line with the character and location. That's what she's trying to pull off here. Okay. So looking at these, what is your first impressions here? And maybe we should preface, for each artist, we will tailor our feedback depending on where they are with their scenes, where they are with their skills. So we want to just talk about, what is the next step for that artist for where they are? And so for some artists that are more advanced, it may look like we're being extra picky on them, but that's just the next step for where they are. For other people, we will be noting other things. So if you notice a difference between the kind of feedback we give, then that's the reason why. Mm-hmm. Now we're looking at a piece here with Erica. What's standing out to you if this is something that was submitted in a class or in a project? What's some of the feedback you'd be looking for here?
I feel like the general sense of the brief is coming through. Some of the things that are noted in the description are there, some are not there. Broadly speaking, when I just look at the overall image, I feel like a couple of these sketches are kind of maybe moving away from the original intent of the brief, which was to be a character feature piece, mm-hmm. right? It's a character piece. And some of them are starting to kind of take on a different context of teaching a class. Mm-hmm. These two, the top ones especially, where we're seeing a lot more of the classroom and the character is simply a character in the class in, a broader context. Mm-hmm. I feel like the third one is a little bit more on the nose of what the intention was to feature the character. The character's more prominent and the environment a little bit less so. Mm-hmm. But those are just my first thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. And this is a topic that is really worth getting into if you want to do scenes and it has an overlap with composition. Dealing with the framing of a scene. Now, I've got a little breakdown that I've used on other projects before. I didn't just make this for this. But I want to just run through it real quick in case anybody has not really looked into this. And this is based a lot on photography and cinematography. And that is how tight or wide a scene is changes the context of the subject that the viewer feels like the scene is about. So basically, the more tight you are up to someone, mm-hmm. obviously that's what it's about. That's the only thing we can see. Now, if you get further out, even to the point of a mid shot, where you can go about the waist or so, upper thigh, somewhere in that region, it's still about the character. But what starts becoming important is you're giving enough information to set the context of where they are, but it's still about them. Now, right here at the wide shot, this is really where it starts becoming a split. It's not a character piece anymore, but it's not an environment piece anymore. It is about establishing this person in this place, in which case it becomes about the scene, the location, or the interaction between the two aspects. If you're doing a lot of illustration or look a lot of fantasy work, commonly actions like a spell card or an attack card is probably going to be a wide shot because it's literally about the thing taking place rather than the person. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then you go beyond that to wide shot or extreme wide shot. And this changes to the point where, like in the extreme wide shot, the character just becomes a prop, basically. They are a thing that populates the scene, but it's no more about them. So when we're talking about, I feel like the context is changing a little bit. That's what we're referring to in this, because Rowena, we're getting the full body image of her, and most of the scene is environment. So potentially an option would be to zoom up. So this is an MTG piece from their Strixhaven set. It's a little blurry, so forgive me on that. But a lot of times for the horizontal character scenes for illustrations, they do go with the upper thigh sort of cropping for it, because it gives you enough character to make it about the character, enough environment to set the environment, but you're following the basic adage of fill the frame with the content.
It's still focused on the character. Yeah.
So here, this is then to you. You can decide what you want to do with this. You can do it like this and keep this cropping, but understand that it will be registered from viewers most likely as a teaching scene at Hogwarts rather than a Rowena Ravenclaw sort of feature image. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you would need to zoom up to something more in that region and get more of that. Okay. Another thing would be going forwards, if you're doing more scenes and you've chosen one of the indoor ones, which a lot of people have, which can be a real pain to do because of this perspective thing that artists have been dealing with for 1,000 years or more. If it is helpful, that's what this other image was. Like, this is on Sketchfab. I don't know who made it. I just pulled it up on Sketchfab. It was like Magical Classroom or something. You can find a model like this, or find a photo, or just find a room that has the general perspective that you like. And then you can just trace out some of the lines to get the general layout of the room. And then you can think about where you want to put your person in that room. Then this just takes care of a lot of the geometry. And you can put totally different things. You can put a statue back here. You can put desks down here, right? You can do that sort of thing and edit it and make it what you need, but just use the geometry from something that already exists.
I've done that. To avoid perspective errors. Yeah.
And it's just something
I do this also.
It eats a lot of time.
Yeah, it does.
It eats a lot of time.
Yeah, and the reason we bring this up is because we're running into some perspective problems here, where we're looking up at the desk from kind of a worm's eye view, like because we're looking up, right? The lines are going down towards the horizon, so it indicates a low horizon, right? If these lines are coming down. But we don't look like we're really looking up at her. She looks like she's eye level to us, because we're not seeing the under part of her.
We're still getting like the curve down of the waist bit, where if we're looking up, it's probably going to have an upward curve.
Yeah.
So pick which scene. I don't think any one of them, I think any of them can really work. I'm kind of with you. Maybe this is the most straightforward, as being more about the person and less about the teaching aspect of it. Make sure that you always have pose reference for something like this, and try to have as much environment reference. What we talked a lot about in the classes is about do as little guesswork as possible. If you don't have to guess at all about what something is going to look, should look like, that's the best situation to be in. So if that means creating your own references, or doing your own posing, or shooting your own photos, all of that will pay off if you can do any of that.
So I'm not saying this to nitpick, and I'm gonna go over this with just everybody's piece. And this is something we always do when we're working on a piece, and we always tell our studio people to do, which is read the brief multiple times.
Yes.
Because it's really, really easy to read it once and then not remember everything that you read, and then make lots of assumptions as you're drawing of things that you think were in the brief, or things that you forgot were in the brief. And this happens to all of us, all of our people, all the time. Yeah. And so for you in this instance, what's missing here, there's something in the brief that's really important, that's missing, which is her Patronus, which is supposed to be on her shoulder, and I don't think it's on any of them, is it?
I don't see it.
Okay, so again, why am I bringing this up? Because that is also going to impact which poses are viable and which poses are not viable. So, for example, in a brief like this where a client says, hey, this Patronus needs to be on her shoulder, then you have to think, okay, well, I know this, so I can't pick a pose like this. Because what's going to happen here? Either the Patronus is going to be hidden here behind her head, or it's going to be in front of her face.
That doesn't work either.
Right? So you kind of left yourself no good option here to solve this problem. And, you know, and you're going to have to either repose this or choose one of these. And here you kind of have the same problem. You're going to have the bird over here. I'm just drawing a bird.
She's drawing with a mouse.
I'm drawing with a mouse, okay? You're going to have to draw it like this, where most of the bird is going to be kind of hidden behind her head and neck, or you're going to have a problem with it here, right?
Yeah.
So again, which kind of makes why I suggested using this one, because the pose is more viable for that reason. So these are things that in a professional context we always have to contend with, which is we have to figure out, okay, I need to have all these components, or the costume is weird and it has some weird piece to it. And so I have to pose my character in a way that kind of works with all those elements.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm bringing it up. So don't forget the Patronus.
Yeah, and it's just good recommendation. I'll make this one recommendation. We'll probably wrap it up on this one. We do have 15 pieces to look at, so we do have to keep it moving. And that would be...
Oh, excuse me.
But adjusting where the time is going, even at this stage. Now, a lot of times we recommend people to spend more time at the earlier drawing, problem solving before they start painting. But even at this stage, like, her expression is a really minor aspect to establish at this stage. So more time could be spent just with doing more variations where we're not establishing wrinkles, we're not establishing books and props, and we're not establishing facial features. But we're doing more variations to figure out, like, where can I pose it where I can still get the raven? Right. And 100% is, like, look at...
It's totally normal, Erica. We always...
Yes.
Everybody always misses something in their brief. And hopefully when you're working with a client, you notice before you send it in to them. Because it's embarrassing when you don't, and then they send it back and say, hey, you forgot this thing. And then you have to kind of rework your drawings. So yeah, it's a very real thing that we all contend with at some point.
Concerning the question there about, do we want a Magic the Gathering type look to these, or to these challenges, or any style is okay? For this challenge, it was outlined in the brief that it should have a journally the Gathering sort of look, which would be illustrative realism. If there's a little stylization to it, that's fine. We understand a lot of people who have a more stylized look get into the challenges. We can go with that. But what we don't want to see is, like, surrealism where you're, like, totally reinterpreting the stuff.
Or like a chunky Hearthstone
Yeah,
style.
we're not looking for Hearthstone or...
But we're pretty flexible. I mean, this is for fun,
you
know.
Yeah. So those are our notes. It is up to you how you want to take that information and how you want to go from here. Obviously, you have 2 weeks in order to refine which concept you want to go with, and then generate your colors and your lighting options, and we'll take a look at those next time. Next up, we have Abraham. I'll just mark that we've looked at it.
Oh, yeah, we gotta mark them. Abraham is here, yeah.
Hey, Abraham. Thanks for joining the challenge. We got some lovely concepts here. This one is Dragon Pursuit. So it's pretty much what you see here from the brief, which is one of the students is on a broom. They are trying to fly away from a pursuing dragon. And we've got 3 lovely concepts. We've got this one here coming kind of right to camera. And this one coming off this way. So it immediately hits us that these are perhaps more lit and rendered than need be for a sketch. Now, maybe you just had extra time on your hands and you decided...
He's fast.
Abraham is fast.
He does. He works fast. So I know that I've seen lots of pieces from him. And if you guys don't believe me, go look at his ArtStation and how many characters he's made. It's pretty wild. So I don't know if it took Abraham that long to do these because I know he works really fast. But I am going to tell you, Abraham, I think it's just too much painting at this stage. I don't know. For me it is, but if you're really fast, maybe it's not that much time to you that you're putting into them. I don't know.
Well, that said, we need to start critiquing the images themselves. And like we said, we're going to just talk about where the piece is at, where the artist is at, and then just a few things from there. Any particular things stand out to you? Do you have a favorite, or is there any edits that you would like to see?
Okay, just like first instinct, the first one that jumps out at me where I really feel like a sense of danger is the first one. Mm-hmm. I feel like the dragon looks really menacing, and the student looks good. The students look good in all of them. I really like this girl here, but I feel like this overall comp is better, stronger from number 1. Yeah, I do like the girl in number 2. I think the face is charming, and the hair flying back is nice. Mm-hmm. I find the pose a bit odd on the dragon on the second one. There's just something awkward about it, or the face doesn't look quite as dangerous, maybe because he's kind of down, pointing down. This one has its merits. It does feel like really, what's the word? Like I'm afraid of heights, and it kind of gives me the sensation that we're really far up, right? Because you can see the horizon here. But I feel like the way the dragon is posed, and also the kid flying right, kind of pointing us right into the corner, it doesn't really works as well as the other ones. That's my first thought.
Yeah, I agree. They each have some really nice things to them. And you can notice how Abraham is working with what we consider large value blocks. And let me just call this out. Anytime there's a neat thing to just mention from the education side, I'd like to do so. So you notice like all of the dragon is generally darker than all of the background. And all of her is a value darker than the dragon. So essentially what we have is like 1 value, which is light, 2 value, which is dragon, and 3 value, which is her. And that way, everything separates really well from just an even really small view. You can still have nice separation from a tiny view. This is important because from a lot of trading card illustrations, they are like 2 inches. So it's got to work on that little size. And you see the same thing here, but a little bit different, where we are getting a little what we call spotlighting. There's a little spotlighting right here towards the face of the dragon, which is a nice choice because it's a focal point. And then we just let it go to darkness or shadow back here, and he's basically shadowed here as well. And we're getting the backlighting on all of this. Where is this light coming from? Don't know, don't care. It looks good. We can get away with it. It's just more, you can go too far with it sometimes. But a few tweaks maybe to get a little bit more out of. If you've watched our streams before, you probably know what we talk about, which is, can we get 10% more? 10% more from the pose, 10% more out of it. And for this one, this is an opportunity where we could get the head to break the silhouette or shape of the body. Right now, the body makes this shape, basically. And the head, even though it's extended, sits really comfortably right in the middle. So it'd be nice if that head could come forwards and break that silhouette. That's a very small thing to do. It's fairly easy. I did that little edit. I can show it to you, but I'm going to look at these first. Another one, if we want to be picky, is we're getting a lot of perspective distortion as the dragon goes back.
Foreshortening.
Yeah, foreshortening. But we don't feel like there's really much foreshortening on him or the broom. If you want to jazz it up, force perspective a little bit more, it would be slightly more in the splash art direction of like playing up the foreshortening to intensify the feel. Then potentially you could do that and he'd be like bigger here and then the broom would get smaller, as it goes back. Let's see. I think I've got, so I paint out there and then moving the head forwards a little bit. And then I tried to just fake it a little bit with some warp just to kind of give an idea. So he's a little close to us, and then the tail feels a little smaller. It would take a proper redraw in order to pull that off. Down here, it just felt like maybe his head was looking too far away from her. So maybe it'd be nice to tilt his head up, maybe even a bit more than that. Might get it up a little bit more. And yeah, she's got a great expression. I feel like maybe having her either cutting her eyes back like he is, I think that makes sense, or staunchly looking right in front of her. Right now it just looks like she's kind of looking off to the side. Another suggestion here on her is to get some out of that cloak and let that cloak billow up.
It can overlap more of the dragon, that's fine.
Behind her a bit more there. And yeah, this one, I know that this is just a sketch, but it feels like we have too much head on the top of the dragon or the eye is too low. So it just feels off there to me. I feel like maybe the eye ought to be like up here. So I would double check that. But honestly, one would be my choice as well. It's up to you. If you're really feeling like 2 or 3 is the piece that you want to showcase, then you can go with those. Those can definitely work. But I think that the more perspective view of both of these characters is stronger than this one because it's just a little more of a side.
Yeah, this one's very
shot.
Flat to camera.
Now, potentially, if you made him a little more 3D view, where it was like the top of this was angled to camera a little bit more, you would gain a little bit out of it.
Yeah, but I just don't think there's anything this one's doing that these aren't doing better, so it kind of isn't worth your time, I don't think, but that's up to you.
All right, man, good stuff. Like seeing your pieces, and we'll look forward to seeing the colors. Okay, Anderson Shelby. I don't know.
This person is familiar. Are you Kurtz Shelby? Am I remembering correctly? Maybe not. If not, I'm sorry. And I have you confused with someone else.
Okay, we don't know if you're here or not. If you're here, I know there's delay in us talking and then what comes up on the feed and when you can hear it. Just let us know. Otherwise, obviously, we're just recording this and you can watch it later. Another Rowena, she was fairly popular.
She was popular.
Yeah. We got several scenes that weren't done, but there was pretty good.
Yes, Kurtz Shelby. Okay, good. I've got the right person.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got them both participating in the same challenge. Oh, right. You're not married yet. You're getting married. Yes, I wasn't sure if you were or not, but I did recall that you were together. So yeah, this must be fun, you two working together on the same challenge.
Okay, so offhand, the approach feels good. I feel like it really is about the character. The cropping has a good balance between character and environment. But we also have some opportunities to get a little more out of the scene. And I know that there is some posing tweaks that we can make. What's standing out to you about that?
Yeah, I feel like the vibe is good. Can you just zoom out so I can see them all at the same time? I feel like the vibe is good. It's, fulfilling the overall intent of the brief. It's featuring the character really prominently. The stuff in the background is there. So yeah, I feel like there's just a couple of, like you said, some posing tweaks that could help boost it.
Is it just me? Does he have glasses, or does he just have really big eyes?
I think he's got glasses on. I don't know. I don't know what the intent was. But be careful when you render him. If it's not understandable, it's gonna be confusing. When you're trying to do like that ghost effect.
Yeah. Okay. So for here, let's talk about the posing a little bit. The hand is drawn really nicely, like the subtle forms getting on the arm there, and the forearm. However, we're getting something that we see fairly often, which is tucked elbows. And it's just a habit a lot of artists get into of having elbows too tight. And a lot of times you want to bring the elbows out a bit more. People just naturally will float their elbows out as they're doing stuff. The other thing is similar to what we just saw on the dragon head of like, let's get the dragon out of the shape of the body, the dragon head. And the same way, the whole arm is like fitting right inside of itself, and the hand sitting inside of itself.
Kind of contained in the same shape.
Yeah. So we could probably break that. We can have her doing something else with her hand. Can it come down and at least break over this way? Or can it come out and go, that way? So we got to do something where we're breaking that silhouette or that overlap. Same thing here. We're getting this elbow like tucking back, and then the forearm actually going back from there as well. The elbow is the most forward thing.
Yeah, you kind of want to bring it forward. So the forearm, yeah, exactly. When in doubt, push the elbow back and the hand forward. It's more natural than the hand going back and the elbow forward, if that makes sense.
So, as far as which one to do,
honestly, I like this one. It's a matter of taste, right? Or personal preference. I prefer the third one. I don't think the other ones are bad. I just feel like the third one is more compelling, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. This one is more compelling. Let's point out a few things to keep in mind. One is, I don't think the little glasses are really working. They're so small that when we get it small, it's just going to be confusing to have.
It's just going to look like there's something on her face.
Yeah, you won't be able to immediately register what it is unless it's big and clear. So I would be really hesitant on that. The next is, I know that this is just a sketch, but I also know that sketches have a tendency not to be edited. You'll just overlook problems and they'll carry on unless you don't deal with them, which is we got a perspective problem where we are clearly looking up at her and looking up at the book, but we're also looking at the top of the table. So with perspective, this would be the top of the table, edge, and this would just be the side of the table. We would not be able to see onto over the edge because
we're beneath it.
Yeah, our eye level is like down here.
Yeah, we're below the table right now.
Yeah.
Based on the other stuff.
Yeah. So really, this would be overlapping that book.
And these would be on that.
Yeah. And these would be looking up at all these books that are stacked up here. Right? They're going to be going that way. All this stuff would be sitting up here and then half hidden behind the edge of the table. I'm iffy about... I almost want the wand in this hand instead of the backhand because it's so little.
I also feel this.
Yeah. But I think that if you do that, we may want to have to do a little repose, because that wand up like this, hand back, this is like almost an aggression pose. And it feels like if she was doing something a little more dainty, like flipping the pages with the wand, you know, it's a little more casual to flicking, rather than what we have now is almost like a ready for action sort of thing. So perspective is good. The books floating around are fun, but yeah, might just be hitting a little bit of the wrong note with kind of the vibe we're getting there. How would you show off all the papers on the table once the perspective is... Well, some of the papers, I mean, you would just see maybe the corners of some paper sticking up, and then maybe just some papers kind of floating around.
The difficulty, but that's the difficulty, right?
Yeah.
Like if you put your camera below everything, it's kind of hard to show what's on top of things, because you effectively put yourself beneath all that stuff. So when you're picking like a shot for how you want to frame an image, that's a really important thing to keep in mind, is like, what's really important to me to show off in this image. If you think I want to show off what's on the top of the desk, then we need to have the camera over the desk, right? We need to be looking down on it, and right now we're looking up at it. So you're kind of in a hard position with that. You'll be able to just see halves or tips of things because of the angle that you've drawn this at. And I think it's fine. I don't think you need to see everything that's on the desk, honestly. Like, we can see some of it, and we've got enough context from the background and from her that I don't think you need to worry too much about that.
Now, going forwards also, you want to have some kind of mock-up. It can be a photo, it can be a 3D model, it can be a physical figurine, and you build a background, whatever. But we needed to make sure that all of this background perspective works with her. So for instance, in this case, this would be like a lot more perspectivized because of our camera angle. And also be cautious of just putting the joint right behind her head. It's probably best to make it asymmetrical. Like you can run it down here and have it like here, or have it over here, but one or the other. Let's not put it right behind her head. And then don't be afraid of, like, you know, this bookcase can just go right off the scene.
It can be a really high ceiling. Like, we don't have to see that top.
Yeah. So I'll see what you can do with that. You know, I felt like the idea is here, but it's one of those, definitely need a photo reference of you standing in that pose. See what feels natural like this. That's
and remember, we're not casting a spell here.
Yeah.
It's not a spell card. It's a character feature. So this one is already starting to go...
feel like a spell. Yeah. How can she casually be using her wand? You know, and she's not really putting a big focus into the magic. It's just happening around her very quietly. Okay.
That's the feedback for you.
Yep, good stuff.
Hope that was helpful.
Oh.
Yep, you closed everything.
Oh, well.
Oh, okay. I don't know if Bjorn is here because of the time difference.
You want to go ahead and look at it?
Yeah. Or actually, wait, since he's not here, maybe it would be more logical to look at the people that are here. I know Frank is here.
Okay.
So Bjorn, if you're here, let me know. Otherwise, we'll just jump to Frank and then we'll double back. If Bjorn is not here, for anyone who's not here that is a participant, we'll look at your stuff at the end so that if people who are here need to leave, they can just leave.
Okay, another Rowena. I'm getting some really nice stuff. You're doing a lot to establish the colors and the lighting, but really this is starting to push into stage 2. And it would be perhaps better at this stage to spend the time that you spent on the colors and the values just on refining the concepts, composition, the character design, rather than trying to push ahead with the other stuff. There will be plenty of time to do that later. So throw all you can into resolving these specific issues for this stage. It's a mix here because we got some good drawing, we've got some good camera angles, there's some nice action, colors, and value interplay going on, but it's also bringing over the issue of it's starting to feel like it's about the magic. It's about the spell rather than feeling like it's a portrait, basically.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things happening. I just want to call out good technique, good approach to lighting. Frank, I know you are a professional, so I'm going to be a little bit tougher on you. Not super tough, but just a little bit tougher on you because I know that you know this stuff and you are a professional and you've done past challenges and you did great. Again, I'm going to say to you, I say to everyone, are we doing the brief or are we doing something else? So again, you put yourself in a position where you can't really do the brief. The Patronus is supposed to be on her shoulder, but you've posed her in a way where it can't be. So that means this pose is not going to work, right?
Yeah, that's problematic when you start changing the brief to match the way that you want the image to be. Like, well, I like this pose, so I will just change the brief.
So we're now you put yourself in a position like the other person with the other Rowena, the first one I think was Erica, where you can't put the bird on her shoulder because it's going to block her face. So that right away should have been an indication to you, okay, I can't do this like this. We're also getting a lot of emphasis on the magic where this action is very prominent. So it kind of, again, it's not so much a Rowena Ravenclaw beauty shot in her classroom. It's more she's casting a spell with this book, right? And we're getting kind of the same thing over here. Same pose. We can't put the bird there. Can't really put it here. It's not going to be super visible. So it's kind of a tough situation, very hard to solve.
No, guys, sometimes it is unclear in a brief when you're working with a client or an art competition, whatever, of what's malleable. Can I bend this? Can I bend that? And sometimes you can bend things, and there are times that I've changed things, or I've asked the art director, hey, I'm having a really hard time of making X do Y in this scene. Is it possible that I can have them do this instead? Or would that compromise the story or, consistency somehow? And I've had them respond both ways. Sometimes it's, no, you cannot do this. It has to be that color, and it has to be this person from this group. On those other times, like, oh, no, that's the first thing that came to my mind when I was writing the brief. Feel free to do it the other way. Now, you don't know, so you always want to make sure that you give them what we call the vanilla option. Yeah,
vanilla is just everything that's in the brief, you just do it that way. And you give it to them in the most, obvious, straightforward way.
Yeah.
And usually that's what they want. And then if you want to go off script a little bit and do something a little different, put your spin on it, offer them something different, then you offer another option like that.
Yeah.
But here we kind of didn't get the vanilla. Okay. Another issue here is that we're missing some of the things in the brief, right? Again, the bird is supposed to be here, not here. And we're not getting the desk. We're not getting the blackboard. So it's not even clear that she's in a classroom. I mean, this could be any room or a library. We've got a window here, but we don't have the stuff that's in the brief. Another thing I'm going to point out, and this is
I think she's supposed to be in her study.
Her study, okay.
But, yeah, we're supposed to have a blackboard, I think, behind her.
We're supposed to have the blackboard and the desk. Here we're just getting kind of a tiny afterthought of it. This could be totally unintentional. I don't know, and I don't know if you were looking at this or if it was involuntary and you just had this image in your mind. But this particular image really reminds me of another image that's very, very famous. And we both thought of it immediately. And when I saw this, I said, this looks like that Carla Ortiz piece. And this is a very famous piece. Everybody knows this piece. And like the shape of the window, the pose, the fact that she's got this thing on her head, the kind of even the shape of the costume, the corner of the table. There were just too many things in our view that were similar. So I don't know if you looked at this image or this was just involuntary, but just be aware that if there is a really iconic image like this, people are going to remember that, and they're going to think that you are creating a version of this. And that's not necessarily what we want. And it doesn't really do you justice. You kind of take some of your shine away when you call up the memory of another piece. We want to try to avoid that so that people can really appreciate you and your piece. And if they're thinking about Carla Ortiz, you don't want them thinking about Carla Ortiz when they're looking at your piece. So that's kind of, the feedback. I think if you took, you can do it however you want it. Okay, this is just our feedback. If you want to stay closer to the brief, I would put the bird here on her shoulder. I would change the background, put a blackboard or something else back there, and try to use this, as much of this image as possible. I would maybe not have her sitting down, maybe just have her standing up. I'm sorry, I'm drawing with the mouse here. But kind of make some alterations, and maybe you can use the top half of her here in these books, and you can reuse a lot of the elements and just kind of recompose them. If you want to
if that is important to you.
If that's important to you.
If not, if you're like, you know what, I'm good with the way it works, I just want to use this as a practice, I just want to do this piece, and I like this vibe, that's fine. Yeah.
And this is like for everyone. This is an art challenge, but it's also meant to be a fun challenge, and we're going to give our input based on like the professional aspect of it and what would happen in like a real world scenario, but also recognize that this is your picture and you can do it however you want.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's keep moving along. Bjorn says that he is here, actually.
Sorry, we're keeping you up, Bjorn. Okay, let's look at Bjorn's piece then. Yeah, so I hope that was helpful, Frank.
Okay, Bjorn is doing the Hippogriff Sky Race.
I was hoping people would do this one. I wrote this brief and I was really excited about it.
High in the sky over the castle grounds and countryside, several riders go through the sky riding powerful hippogriffs. There's 3 of them, 1 in the lead, 2 behind them. Far below is the landscape, castles, lakes, all that stuff. Should be a bright daylight scene, dramatic clouds, strong sunlight. It's just exciting, inspirational sort of thing. Looks like they started off with some character designs and hippogriff designs. These are excellent.
Charming.
Yeah.
Love the costumes. Yeah, super great.
Nice variety for the hippogriffs.
We did not ask for this explicitly in the challenge. This was just Bjorn going out of his way to do it, but it's very cool.
Good character design, professional approach. Like the Hogwarts crest getting added on these.
Nice
That's
touch.
Nice. Got some house colors going on. Cool. So we've got 2 concepts here for the Hippogriff Sky Race. Let's pull into this one a little bit, talk about it first. When we both saw this, we both said, like, this is very close to what we had in mind when we were putting together the briefs. So I feel like you cued right into what this scene is trying to convey, the general vibe you're trying to get from it. And I would say that you were quite successful with this. The subject is filling the frame. So we're getting a lot of the hippogriff, a lot of the character, and we have enough of the other ones that we can see them. We can make out what's going on. We got some of the rings back here. And we have the setting. We see a bit of Hogwarts. We see some of the Quidditch pitch.
Who doesn't like that?
The forest back here. Excellent.
You weren't stingy with the background. I appreciate that.
But you also notice, guys, Bjorn did really nice with conveying the background with minimal effort, right? He's not doing all the little details in Hogwarts. He's not needing to use values or shading. It's just cueing into the particular shape language, right? And the same thing for the Quidditch pitch. We all can recognize the Quidditch pitch from very simple blocks.
Very small. Yeah, that's good. Very good.
So these are both working well. We will make some suggestions. I think that you can go with either of these. I think I tend towards the left one.
Yeah, it feels more exciting. But I also like the right one, actually. They both have their merits.
Yeah. So let's look at some of these. Yeah,
which one is your favorite, Bjorn? You want to tell us which one you prefer? It'll take him a few minutes.
Yeah, it'll take a minute. So, okay, a couple of notes. One is the scale between the Hippogriff and the student. The student feels too large or Hippogriff feels too small. Remember, these are basically just horses with eagle wings and eagle faces. So that it'd be too small for a horse.
I think I would shrink the rider just because you're going to run out of room if you make the Hippogriff bigger.
So we got to take this down to the scale of what a 13-year-old would look like riding a horse and get it more in that range. Another thing would be getting a little more pose out of this guy and getting like what we have here, the neck stretched out a little bit, trying to push forwards.
Yeah.
And I made some quick edits earlier to try to do that. I don't remember what layer anything is on.
Oh yeah, making her smaller
Just
there.
made her a little smaller over here. Not massively, but enough where I feel like the balance...
I feel like the creature's bigger.
Yeah. Balance works better there. And then over here, scaled her down a little bit. Okay. And then try to move the body back and move the head forward some.
Might even open the mouth a little bit if you wanted to add extra personality.
Oh, that could be nice.
Yeah.
Slightly prefer the left one. Both can be pretty cool with some tweaks. Yeah. So that's the sort of thing I'd be looking for that one. Yeah, I think they're good. Could be nice.
Charming.
So that's nice.
Yeah, really nice. This is really what I was hoping for.
For this, you probably want to do one of two things with the lighting. Either you want to put the light very near the camera, in which case you are getting not a lot of shadow. Like maybe it's just to the right, above the camera a little bit. In which case, like, you're basically just going to be getting some little cast shadows just to the left of, things on the sides. Of some of this. Or you want to put it basically on the back side. Everything's backlit. And so basically everything has the base color with a bright edge light. And you get light
blow
coming
out the
through
edge
the
light.
windows. Yeah. And so everything just has nice bright colors because you're exposing for the shadow. The edge light is completely white because it's overexposed. And what you want to do is avoid too much value change because you can get away with that here, but it's going to be a real pain to do full value rendering on everything in the background. Now, you can get away with it. I'm just saying if you want to have time to sleep, then you might want to...
Yeah, just do those two options and that'll do.
So, that was mine. Anything you want to add?
No, I'm just really pleased with what you've done here. So I'm guessing this one in the front is the Slytherin girl with the classic gray hippogriff. So it'll read really nice, really recognizable. Yeah, that's good.
Nice work. This is Eta?
Or Ita.
Ita?
I'm sorry if we're saying it wrong. Please correct us if you're here in the chat.
No, new scene here, Acromantula ambush. Of course, Aragog was the Acromantula.
I like this big spider piece. They're, these big monster pieces are always nice, and they're very common in MTG. You do see them a lot. Yes,
that's true. So you can see the brief right there, the gigantic spider in the Forbidden Forest coming towards camera. It's impressive and big and scary. That's about how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
So these are nice. Right on the money for what the feeling and the gist of this kind of scene ought to be. I like that we are getting a lot out of the drawing without it being too developed. Like, I understand the anatomy, the posing of the spider. We're getting that sort of furriness off these giant spider, iterations. We're getting some good detail or character design around the face.
Yeah, the spiders are drawn really well.
Yeah, that's good. My favorite one is down here. I think we both tend towards this one.
Mm-hmm.
And
feels really more intimidating, like it's coming forward at you.
Yeah, that one leg stretching further feels nice. I like that. So let's make a couple of tweaks to it and then move forwards with this one. One would be that I think we're getting just a little more off-centered than we need to be. He doesn't need to be perfectly centered, but it just does feel like we're getting a lot of space over here and everything's kind of crammed in over there.
Mm-hmm. Feels a little cramped.
If we got him over a bit, I think that would help a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The storytelling, I'm a little unclear with this. We're having like a shield, I guess, with a lion on it. Unless we can tie that into something else, it's a bit of a one-off. It's a little confusing for the storytelling read.
Yeah, it's not clear what we're trying to convey with that here.
No. Bones, particularly animal bones, I think they would make sense in the Forbidden Forest. I don't know that they would eat that many humans. But anyway. Something else that we could get here is more development of the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So I just pulled up one photo just as a talking point, which is really cool, gnarly roots kind of going over themselves, maybe adding some moss on top of them, kind of like what we see up here.
Kind of like a spooky environment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And not just big slopey stuff, but we can have things kind of going over themselves, right? And maybe we have some rocks sticking out and we get some moss on them, right? And that would help. Another thing that we can consider doing is adding, again, because we're in the forest, is maybe we have some like foreground leaves, right near the camera. You get that just so that there feels like there's some vegetation somewhere, some little plants. And
I know it isn't in the brief, but I think something that would work and would be something that we would consider like the non-vanilla option that you could offer, an AD on this particular brief of this topic would be, how about having a lot of the little spiders coming out?
Yeah.
So it wasn't part of the original brief, but I think it would even enhance the image and make it a little bit more
spiders.
menacing. So if you wanted to, I'm not saying you have to, because again, it wasn't in the outline, but if you wanted to, I think that's something that would actually make sense and add to, the feeling of this spooky creature in this spooky environment that you don't want to be in. So yeah, that's basically it.
Even like 3 of them would help. 2 things on the character or creature itself. When I think you could get more if it was like opened up with its little pincers rather than closed. I mean, it reminds me of like the Predator and they're spreading their jaws out. A little more like that. And I'm assuming that this is all body, but and maybe that's completely correct. but I feel like we might want to see just the edge of the body.
Or maybe like push it back and
Yeah,
like
let
foreshortening.
it tilt it down so like maybe we get the top visible somewhere. Just because visually it starts to be odd of like, oh, it just, the edge of its body is completely hidden by the legs here and by the top of the edge there. And so it just looks like the body just kind of disappears and it just goes on. So that's why I lean towards like just treating it like maybe you can see the top of the body.
Like
back
it's just
there
curving
somewhere.
back.
Yeah. So again, nice drawing, really good for where it's at. We're talking about just trying to maximize it a little bit.
Yeah, it's looking awesome.
Okay, Janine is up next.
Janine is here.
Janine is here.
I believe so. Hey, Janine. No, it's probably late for Janine as well. I'm not sure what time zone she's in.
Okay, Janine is taking on Midnight Duel in the library. You got two students who are dueling in the library, obviously.
This is a tough one.
You've got crackling magic, red magic, shooting at each other. Where the magic collides, there's a big explosion of sparks. And okay, something you totally get, in trouble for in Hogwarts. But anyway, I guess they're up to it. So yeah, Janine, you're taking on a really tough one, and one of the reasons is one, it has two people in it, and the next is that there's a lot of perspective architecture going on here. And just after midnight. Oh, so it's still early. No worries.
No.
Okay.
We'll try to keep it brief for you.
Okay, so the idea is that right now they're on the rough side, but just trying to draw, trying to convey the idea. Didn't draw all the books. No, you don't need to draw all the books at this point.
No, that's fine.
That's such a minor aspect of this. So this is a really tough thing to do, and to do it composing scenes. And I know that you've really been improving your skills. You've been tackling a lot of different subjects and courses and stuff. And composition is a big one. That's what you're in the middle of training right now and stepping up your skills to take on. So for this, I'd really recommend lots of observations and notes from other similar pieces that I've already worked.
And I just want to point out that when there's a duel, like two people fighting, this is a very specific problem to solve in an image, because you have to see them both, but they can't be on the same plane. That's usually the issue. So you have to frame it in a way in which both are still visible, but they're going to be on different planes. But still, and especially for something like a magic card or a TCG where you have to see it at 2 inches, very challenging. And I think the way you were conceptualizing it here, I might be wrong, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it comes across as though you are conceptualizing the space and then putting the people in the space, which is not a bad way to do things. It's not a wrong way to do it. But with this particular setup, with this situation with the two characters, you're kind of running into a problem where you're not going to see that bad guy if he's that far away, and if your camera is that far away from both guys. And I think that's the main issue, is the guys are too far away, and also you, the viewer, the camera, is too far away from both of them in most cases to make that effective. I think the closest one is kind of this one, and they're still kind of almost drifting off frame. So we have to contend with that, right?
No, I've totally been in this boat. I've had to do a couple of, it was concepts, it wasn't a published piece, that was dueling wizards. And I remember going over this exact problem, and it's easy to run into this. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you made the space first, and then you try to figure out how to put people in it. So I'm going to suggest that you actually work backwards from that, which is you figure out how to best showcase the characters and their action, and then you make the space fit around that.
You put the stuff where it can be around them, because they are the most difficult variable you have to contend with right now. So it's better to start from there.
So let's kind of just break it down for everybody trying to follow along, or anybody else that approaches a similar scene. So the characters overall are just getting too small. You can see my note up here, fill the frame with the subject. Right now, most of the frame is not the subject. Most of the frame is the environment, which leads us back to what we talked about earlier, which is this now becomes very much about just the library, and there happens to be this little thing going on.
It's a lot of library. Yeah.
So we've got to make, like, this character, in this case, I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying this is the answer, I'm just trying to talk it through a little bit. This character would be much closer to camera, maybe just about to the waist, a little bit further down than the waist. Their hand is out. And then you got the other guy standing up here. Why? Because we're trying to get them as close as possible. And then you have the sparks here coming down there. Now, look how much more area of the scene
is filled with the actual characters. Yeah, because if you don't do that, if you leave it as is, it actually confuses the narrative, because you're making it a location image, right? It's featuring really the library, but also there's two guys fighting in it, but they're kind of really small. So that's when Clint was talking about earlier, framing the shot. It's really framing it in the best way that conveys the specific message that we're trying to convey.
So there's a couple of people tackling this. So let me show some examples of similar images. So duels and magic duels.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. So here's one. You can see for images, sometimes you have to put people a lot closer together than you naturally think they would stand. All right, because we're making an image and we've got to fudge things a little bit. These guys feel really close to the degree that they're so close that you couldn't reasonably react fast enough if somebody did something to you. But that's how we can get them in the scene. And you can tell, look how big this guy is. Now also notice that where the camera is at. The camera is really low. Like, this is about the eye level of that scene. We're looking up at everything else. So this guy feels really big. He fills up a lot of this space. And this guy's fairly large too, but also we're not getting full body shots of both of them. Now, it is possible to do, like here, but again, look how low the camera is. This guy's really big. This guy's back here. We get the magic, and still most of the image is these guys. This one's cool. Again, camera down low. Character filling a lot of the area here. Got his magic coming this way. Got his magic on this side. So you have a very much a half and half split. And you can still make out this guy's silhouette. He's still big enough that you can tell that. And then we've got these. So Mage Wars is a property that you want to look at. It is a series of games. Mage Wars that always has two dueling magic people of some kind on the cover. So again, this guy's really close to camera. We don't get the full body, and he takes up a lot of space. And then this character is usually full body or almost full body, and they're further away, but only like 15 feet away, really. They're not that far away. Or this one, where he's been knocked over, but look how much, again, almost all of the canvas is the action taking place. And that's where you can see how much.
So that would save you a lot of books that you have to paint by putting the characters much more prominently.
It would just be like, okay, add a bookcase here, add a bookcase back there, make like a doorway back here, add another bookcase back there. And you're building the environment to serve around the action taking place. That's how I would approach it. You mentioned that you want to build things out, block them out in Blender. If you want to do that first, feel free to do that. Go grab some DAZ models. I know that you can find some of like people in wizarding poses.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Throw those out there into the environment and just I would start with just try to replicate the camera cropping and the angles they have and see how well that works for your environment with your characters.
And don't forget about that you have a specific magic effect that you have to make room for it. So for example, you don't want to lean your guy in this way where he's going to block this whole area because you in your brief have a magic interaction. You have one guy casting one type, another casting another type, and there's supposed to be like this kind of thing happening here, right? Sorry, I'm drawing with a mouse. It's really bad. But if you lean this guy in, this is going to create kind of an issue here. So you would maybe want to have him a little bit further back or leaning kind of away like this guy where you have room for this interaction, right, to happen. So again, things, I mention this because these are things that, you know, we contend with when we're plotting out an image. It's like, okay, it has to have this effect, so I got to make room for it, and I got to pose my people accordingly.
I'll go ahead and tell you, Janine, anyone else also doing this scene or a similar scene, I kid you not, there are only a couple of ways to do this scene. Really, like every version of Two Dueling Mages has been done, and I'll tell you what, it's basically these.
Yeah, because you're dealing with the same parameters, so you can't. There's not infinity solutions.
The only thing that really starts changing it is if somebody's like at the top of the staircase, and then okay, now we have some other options.
Or someone's flying.
Yeah, if somebody's elevated for some reason, but if people are basically standing on the same level, this is how you have to frame that shot. So I'll just tell you that. All right, Janine.
I hope that's been helpful. Maybe you have like a clearer image in your mind of how to proceed.
Jennifer is next. Jennifer
I just want to say to Frank, Frank says, since there are other people doing Rowena, I think I'll do another one. I agree with my feedback. Okay, well, I'm glad you agree. And if you want to, circle back and reformulate the composition, I think that's a good call. Yeah. So that's cool with us.
Again, we want to try to be flexible with you guys. Push you if you want to be pushed in that direction. But if you feel like you got a different idea, that's your call. So another Rowena. This one, I forgot the name. Jennifer.
Is Jennifer here? I don't know.
I don't know. Okay, I'm feeling like these are really getting pretty close. The sketches are nice and clear. We got the blackboard. We got some bookcases. Got some magic books flying around. The line work's nice and clean. I can make out everything here. We do have the Patronus there. That's nice. Got a couple of different camera angles. This is one of the things that we really do push people to try to do is experiment with the camera angles. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you at least just need to do the legwork to just check the box. All right, I tried it.
See how it looks. Yeah.
So we've got 3 options here. I'd lean towards 1 and 3. I just feel like this is kind of an odd view.
I don't think it's the most advantageous, to showing her off and all the stuff. So I think the other ones are better.
So, some notes. Okay, this. I don't know what the idea here is. Does she have a hood, a scarf?
I am confused about this also because the brief says she's got long hair, and I'm assuming this is a braid and not a scarf. So if this is a braid, the hair is here, but then it looks like there's a hood. Where are these braids coming from is my question.
Yeah, because they have to come out somewhere, yeah?
I don't know if you're trying to do like a wizarding hood. I would kind of have the hair coming from here, you know, from inside the hood, and she could have a hood kind of like that. I don't know that you need a hood because you have a tiara, and it kind of obscures the tiara. It's kind of odd.
I would move away from that. Just make her really elegant. Like this should be set during the medieval period, about 1,000 years ago.
Something like this.
So just a really elegant, dark-headed lady. A little wizarding flair maybe to the outfit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just let us see the face.
Yeah, I almost think of like what would Maid Marian. It's kind of, you can get a little bit of that sort of design if you wanted like a certain kind of headpiece. But I think with a tiara, with the long hair, that's enough. I don't think you need to add really anything onto that.
Yeah, I don't think much is gained from covering it up like that, but that's a design opinion. Yeah. I like the pose. I like the bird. Looks good. All the stuff on the table, the books. Yeah, that's hitting the right note for me.
If you go with this one, I do have one suggestion. Is a little picky, but this book, I wouldn't edit this book. You did a good job of keeping a nice flow through these books, but this one sort of kind of bucks that. And also, I keep getting my eye drawn to it because essentially it's a bunch of radiating lines, and it like draws your eye to look inside the book.
It's the most directly open one, which draws you in.
So I think you could actually get rid of that one, and or we get some overlapping between some of these books. Like, let that one go over the other one. And the same thing over here. We're not really getting overlap. Everybody's just kind of an island from everybody. And overlapping could be good because it helps us get a sense of where things are three-dimensionally. Even like down here, this is an opportunity. Either this book overlaps him, or he goes and gets overlapped
by the desk.
Because I don't know if it's in front or behind. So those are things where you start making changes, the better artist you get. And they're not big changes. This isn't like massive camera changes or reposing. It's little optimizations like that. You start getting more out of the scene. Okay, down here. I'd say that this was actually sketched in quite well. Quite a difficult angle to do. But yeah, I think sometimes the vanilla, this is more vanilla, is the right choice.
It's doing the job really well. Yeah.
Now down here, let's talk about if you want to go with this one.
I think this one's fun too because the Patronus is more, active.
Yeah.
And that's kind of fun, and there is more overlapping here of things.
But we can get some more out of it. I've got really two main suggestions with this. Let's start with the pose. It's reading a little too dance-like for me. And that's because both arms are out and we're getting this sort of swish pose with the body. I think if you leave the arms where they are and then edit the pose so that she's just a little more
just standing
straight. Yeah. I did a warp to it to just get an idea of what that looks like. So you basically could keep most of what you already have, and this is literally just one transform warp. And there the body feels a little less dance-like, and now it's just an arm motion rather than a full body kind of thing. Then the next thing is getting rid of some of the redundant space. Really what we care about is right here. A lot of this is kind of excess. Now, I love that you thought through the items on the table and you added this extra stuff, but honestly, that's probably a stronger image.
Yeah,
if you just
feels a lot stronger, and it feels good. Like that would, I think that would satisfy any any AD.
Now notice here, I did add a bit more at the top, just because she was getting a little close on the top. So by the time you pulled in, it just felt like she was getting
there was just too much.
Yeah.
It was too tight around the focal point, basically.
So whichever one you're feeling, this really nice, fun scene here. I think this one works well with a few of those tweaks as well. Up to you.
Great work.
Yeah.
Let's look at the next piece.
Irina.
Oh yeah, Irina's here, I think.
Okay, Irina, thank you for doing Helga. We thought Helga would be
Nobody
a nice
likes
scene.
the Hufflepuffs. but I think you did a great job, like taking this subject and really like making it charming and interesting. Hi.
Okay, so as you guys see here, this is Helga Hufflepuff, the patron of the Hufflepuff house. And we don't have a lot of information just from the books. I've read the books, and I know there's not that much about her in there.
I did not read the book.
So,
sorry.
But I just wanted to play up a little more about the plants, the animals of the world. That she's a very kind of kindly sort of character, and the Badger Patronus. So we've got 3 different options here for Helga's scene. I made a few little edits to yours just to darken up some of your background lines. Understand that you sketched them lighter to kind of help separate the planes, but sometimes the stream just doesn't pick up the really faint lines. So I darkened them up to make sure that everybody could see the lines. Okay, that said, really solid sketches. I like the options here. Okay, 1 and 2, I feel like the top ones are stronger than the third one. I just feel like there's not really anything that this one's doing that's better than what we're already getting on the other one.
She's looking a little too Pride and Prejudice, in the, which is not, I don't dislike that. I love Pride and Prejudice, but I feel like the other 2 are more wizardy.
And this one impresses me particularly because of the environment. We've got just a wonderful array of like the pottery, the plants, the animal pages.
What's his name?
We got Groot
Mandrake.
back here.
Is that Groot? I think that's supposed to be a mandrake.
We got an owl. We got the little niffler back here. And I forgot what that one, the bowtruckle, I think, the little stick guy. So that's good to see. We got some pixies maybe up in here. This feels really fun. And we got the interaction between the badger and this piranha plant thing.
No, it's a Venus flytrap.
Ah.
Charming. I love this idea of the little secondary read, another interaction going on besides the main focal point.
Now, I think we do need a face ref. I feel like maybe her eyes are like stretching out a little bit. But for the sketch of just establishing the general look, the feel, the expression, the perspective, it's doing its job. But obviously, before you go take it further, you'd want to refine it a bit. Also on this one, yeah, again, set dressing. This sort of set dressing does not come easily to a lot of artists. So seeing that you really kind of leaned into it and that you were able to even do things like lots of books and you just sort of suggested the books rather than fully drawing every book, that's really a hallmark of somebody who's got a good grasp on how to do backgrounds for their scenes. I'll tell you what my favorite option would be, and you may differ, which is I like this scene and I like this background the most, but I like her character design in this one more.
I concur with this. Yes, okay. I agree.
The hair design just feels charming. There was also a bit of an elegance to it, which I think is fine for...
It is also more complex, more sophisticated.
Yeah.
A more high-end, like, you know, like a real high-level witch or wizard would have.
Yeah, she's supposed to be one of the most adept wizards of the entire age, right? I think playing her up a little bit's nice.
I
And
like the
cloak,
cape. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very wizardy, which I like also. Yeah.
So let's try getting that hair and that cloak and costume on this one. I really feel like you get the best of both.
Mm-hmm. If it's possible to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who's not worked with clients before will know that sort of feedback is very common.
Yeah, it's mix and match.
Yes.
What we call mix and match, where they want some things on one sketch and other things from another sketch. Happens a lot.
Yeah. So those are really our points. I think that you put a lot of time and a lot of thought into these. You did a good flesh out of the scenes and the options. And
I also feel like all those little things, little creatures that are true to the world, all these little things for people to look at, that is something that I think is super appreciated by the fans.
yes.
And, giving them those little things to notice that they recognize is such a nice treat for them. Like, it really is. And it's super, kind, and it's considerate when you're putting together an image to actually do that for the fans. It's an extra that you weren't asked to do. It wasn't in the assignment, but to go ahead and include that is really nice.
Mm-hmm. As you go forwards, just keep an eye out for tangents. I know that it is going to be difficult in a scene of this complexity. I'll point out just a few of them because I'm assuming you're going to be refining this as you go. So we've got a couple of this is curving just to meet that, even though they're on different planes. We're getting this to just come here. This guy looks like he's about to touch up against that. So there's a few of those, particularly for things that are on different planes that almost look like they're interacting. We want to watch those. But I think all of those are quite tweakable.
Easy
very
fixes.
easy. Yeah.
Also, just so everyone knows, me and Tangents fight regularly because there's sometimes when it's like, oh yeah, that's an easy fix, but there's sometimes where it's not an easy fix. And it's like, oh no, what am I gonna do? I guess I'll have to leave that in and try to add atmosphere or something to dispel the effect. But yeah, if you suffer from tangents, you're not alone.
No, we note them in each other's work and try to address them where we can. All right, so Kurt is doing Godric Gryffindor, and of course he has the lion as his Patronus?
Like gigantic Patronus,
yeah.
I guess.
This is a cool scene. It is getting outside of what this is really about, the type of image this is. So I would move away from this one for this project. We're not getting enough context about who he is or that he's holding a wand or where he is. But the drawing itself is good. Over here, also a really nice iteration. I think that this is usable, but again, I think that with the armor and with the sword, you register him more as just like Sir Lancelot or something like that, and you barely notice the wand in the other hand, and it may not be clear that the lion was his Patronus. So I really feel like this is the most balanced of conveying the main information.
Ordinarily on a piece like this, I would want to get closer to him. I would want it to be, in here. But because your brief did have a rooftop location and indicated that, I think if we cropped in this tight, we would maybe not be able to give that context.
Yeah, I'd start to lose
of where he is. So we might need to just keep it full length.
Yeah, this one's a little bit more as like Godric, sort of the Lion of Hogwarts, right? It's a little more about Hogwarts and him together rather than just him, unlike some of the other ones. So the camera angle that you have here, the drawing is nice and clean. I like this.
Nice and tidy.
Nice and tidy. So I don't think there's big changes that really should be made here. He is supposed to be holding the sword of Gryffindor, which is why he has the sword. And the wand is more visible in this case.
I like that.
Which is nice. You probably want to put some kind of glowy effect here going with the color of the Patronus, just so that we get the key of them together. We got the quick sketch in of some of the Hogwarts castle buildings in the background. A small suggestion would be to maybe just let like that one go off the top of the scene, just because we're kind of getting everything landing right at the same sort of vertical level. It's just like all sky, nothing breaks.
Yeah, just let it
frame.
go up so that it looks bigger too.
Yeah, and we can just do kind of a big sort of cathedral arch, and that's the tower with the clock on it, and you can have that there. And that's fine. Yeah. Kind of went back and forth. I get that you visually would kind of need like something over here. I'm also feeling like, should we not maybe have a repeating one over here? But maybe that's too much. Or that building, does it do enough?
I don't know if we would benefit from maybe just seeing a little bit here. It would be taller.
Yeah, it would have to be fairly tall.
Because it would be like that. But just seeing a small bit of the next gargoyle over the next lion.
I'm kind of leaning towards not, now that I'm looking at it. I'm getting...
What if we had one like this, but further back?
Oh, like on the other side of the...
Yeah.
No, that would be an idea, is if like on the other side of the roof, we had one facing away.
Facing the other way,
yeah.
Basically. So if you can imagine, if you're looking up top and there's like a passage or a corridor, a bridge, and you had like lines kind of like that. And so here we're seeing this one, and then we would see that one over there. I don't know.
I think that's the best option if you're going to do it.
It would kind of give this more context, so it wouldn't look like a one-off.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on it, to be honest.
Yeah. Speaking of 50-50, I'm 50-50 on whether he needs to have armor. The Wizards...
Did we not write that? I don't know what the brief is. I think we got to go reread the brief.
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks since we looked at it. Broad-chested, with red hair, red beard, green eyes, stands atop with the sword of Gryffindor.
No, he doesn't have any armor on this.
So this is one where...
Could have just an epic cloak or something.
I could see why you give him armor, because he's like heroic.
And he's got a sword.
And he has a sword. I'm not sure what he did with a sword that he couldn't do with the ball.
I was thinking that, like, he's got one in each hand, but like which one is gonna actually do the fighting? I don't know.
So another thing here is it says specifically that his robes and cloak billow dramatically. Well, we're not really getting dramatic billowing. Now for us, if you're happy with this, you can go with it. If this was for a client, they're probably going to go, we want more dramatic billowing. And you may be asked to change it. Even from this pose, I've seen some shots, I think, particularly of Batman in the comic, where he, it'd be like that, and then the end of it, like, does this sort of thing, you know? And you start seeing all these flaps of it, where it's like being caught by his body. And this one does kind of the same thing, as where it's being kind of pressed against his body because the wind is coming like from behind him. Or you go totally the opposite.
Or it could blow the other way, which
opposite way.
You may want to do because you may not want it crossing in front of the Patronus.
Yeah, that wouldn't really work.
The other thing is, if you want to plus it, this is just my opinion, and what I would do is, right now, I can't tell if he's looking at us or if he's looking off into the distance.
No.
I'm not sure. If he's looking at us, then fine. But if he's looking over here into the distance, just looking forward out, into the landscape, what you might want to do is have the lion looking the same way and have him maybe doing a roar. Right now, he's just kind of standing there, kind of passive. And I felt like this is a better head.
Oh, yeah.
Or like that's a better, thing to be doing with the mouth open. I feel like it would be a little bit more, imposing. Just a
Another
thought.
thing that's quite common for these poses where basically the whole body is static and they're just standing there kind of looking is to flip the head so the head is looking opposite of the body. I don't know if it works as well here, but that's a pretty common thing to do as well. So he's kind of, you get some sort of turn to the body. Yeah, I'd be curious what a non-armored knight version would look like. But if you like it as is, I'd say go with it. I think you could get a little more out of the cloak if you wanted to do that. But again, I want to say impressed with the scene. It's a difficult shot to balance all the elements, and you're doing it quite well.
I would say don't turn the head because there's just not enough space to do it. Just the way it is fine, but maybe consider turning the lion's head a little bit.
Yeah, the lion might look better from a different angle.
Yeah, with the mouth open, a roar, or something like that. That's what I would do, but it's your piece.
Miyuki sent in a piece from Transfiguration Catastrophe.
I am so glad that you did this. I don't think anyone else did this one.
So this one, I'll pull up the brief here. You guys can see a couple of the briefs. So some of them they didn't do, like Summon Patronus. Magical classroom, a spell has gone terribly wrong. Half-transformed animals and objects float chaotically around the room while a young witch or wizard frantically tries to regain control. Wizard classroom filled with desks and potion bottles and chalkboards. And Miyuki's here. Hey, Miyuki.
Hey, Miyuki.
And the magical diagrams. Classroom in humorous magical chaos. And Miyuki, you nailed just that. Look at this magical chaos going on.
Look how charming this is, where the bird is half bottle, half bird, and there's these half bottle birds with liquid in them flying around. It's so funny, and I really enjoy it. Like it's definitely, you painted a picture here of what's going on in this room. This is so charming. Look at this. I can't help it. You've entertained me. I can't help but like it.
Yeah, this hits the notes. It feels so good. It tells a story. It's charming. We've got motion. We've got believable interaction between the characters' responses. Over here, this one focusing more on the one character, and the flowers are all turning into fish who are kind of humorously flopping around all over the desk. And we get this sort of frantic look, which is nice. Simple values just for separation there with the background. Okay. And turning the gramophone into like a lizard or something. Again, the expression here works really nice, but I don't think that this one conveys as well as the others.
It's harder to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like what the connection is between the magic, the lizard, and this cage and these things back here. It's unclear what has actually happened here, what's going wrong. Whereas with the other two, it's very clear.
Yeah. So I feel like options 1 and 2 are the strongest. For sheer scene of like which one sets the better scene, I think that's 1. This left one. I could see where some clients perhaps would want 2 because it just gets the subject bigger in the frame, and because there's fewer things to fit in, so you get closer to it, and that's valid as well. Now, we obviously are not actually printing this, so we're just going for what is the better image, in which case I would suggest the leftmost image here. Do you feel differently? Would you go for...
No, I love that one. Honestly, the little, the dwarf teacher standing on the stack of books on a chair trying to get control of the situation, and the cat, and everything about it is so charming that I don't know if this was your favorite image, but I just love it.
My suggestion for this one is... It's a small tweak, potentially scaling up the size of these guys. Not by a crazy amount, but they're so small that if the image is very small, you may not register that they are partly transformed object birds. You might just see these from a silhouette and be like, okay, so there's some birds, right? But if we could get those and scale them up so that maybe they are 20-30% bigger, then it starts getting big enough that we can pick it up better, right, from a smaller read. Yeah.
Or at least have one of them be much bigger so it's closer.
So some kind of attention there, resolution with that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think the rest of it is just working very nicely. Got the books, got the wands.
Yeah.
Teacher seems like he's kind of slacking on the job here. Like, surely he ought to be doing something about this.
Can he close the window with his wand? It's so funny, when we're watching Harry Potter, it's like, maybe we make it not fun for ourselves. And couldn't they just do a spell and fix that, whatever the problem is? But then they don't. Anyway, I love what you did. This is really good. This is better than I had anticipated when I wrote the brief. So good job.
Yep, I'd say go with it. If there was something significant to suggest that I thought would get a lot more out of it, I would suggest it, but everything would be quite minor and be more of artistic choice. So I'm not going to bother.
Yeah, keep going. All right, we've got 4 more pieces.
Nicole took on Salazar Slytherin, the Lord of Serpents. Now, in this piece, also a character focus piece. Salazar is in the dark arts classroom.
Hello, Nicole. Nicole is here.
And he is summoning his snake Patronus. So the point that we sort of touched on earlier, same thing here, which is the context. So for any scene illustration, it really goes one of 3 directions. And that's where you have this triangle here. It is either about the character, it is about the spell or the action, whatever is taking place, or it is about the scene, as in more of the location in general. This one is tending towards the spell/action side because of how much of the room, the scale of the serpent that we're getting, and the size of the character relative to the amount of the environment.
Character's about 25% maybe of the image, if that.
Get it up to 50, then he starts becoming the focus again. I like your clean execution. I don't think you necessarily needed to establish values at this stage, but the values that you do establish, you do so very cleanly, efficiently, and they balance quite well. So that's nice to see. And you're already thinking about how can I compose using the snake as a compositional element, and how can I make sure that I have lots of darks for the glow of the snake to stand out against. That's some good forward thinking on the piece. to move forwards with, I think you're going to have the most results with 1 and 2. Personally, I would go with 2. And let's kind of talk about that.
I like 1 also, but 2 is good.
So you've got a choice here. If you like this image and you like the balance that you have between the scene, the Patronus, and the character, then go with it as you have it. All right? You don't have to make these changes. If you want to challenge yourself and be, okay, this is particularly a portrait, basically, image of Salazar, and we're also including his Patronus, then we've got to make some edits. Namely, we've got to crop in on him. We don't necessarily need to see the bottom of this. If we see the top of his cloak, we assume the bottom is there. So we kind of need to get, as we've seen on some of the others, we need to get a little more into that range with the cropping. Something in that realm. And if I did that, then I would also just make the bookcase bigger. Get that whole bookcase.
Just bring it closer.
Yeah, just let it be closer. Just make it like he's not as far away from the wall, or the window. And you can get the other, maybe you just make the window smaller too, so you can get another bookcase on the other side, and then make the faux glass bigger. So we're getting the stuff you already have, and we're going to pack it in a little tighter. Then the serpent, we just don't get as much serpent, so the serpent can still go out, and then maybe go behind him, and then loop around in front or something like that. And that's fine. We have plenty of it, but he still is centered, and he takes up about 50% of the overall space. The same sort of approach could be used here as well. I think that if you tighten in on this one, you just don't get as much room to showcase some of the other stuff. And it's going to be harder to get the glow to show up over a really bright window. So you could potentially make it more, say, like you saw in was it the third film, where it's misty a lot, and it was kind of misty Scotland, so that it's not really bright and sunny out there. It's a little dim, so that you can still get some contrast against the darker skies and the misty terrain you would see outside of the room there. That would be an option, but the overall pose silhouette works pretty well. Yeah, I like the massive sleeves this guy has.
I am also a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's basically our feedback. I just want to call out really good execution technique from you. No foundational errors visible at all. So good job.
Yeah, good concepts. Javier is taking on the Stone Defender, one of these stone kind of soldiers that are part of Hogwarts.
Like a Colossus.
Yeah, animated to protect the residents. And
this school is a very dangerous place. The school is under attack all the time. I don't know why they keep putting children there, but I guess the story has to happen.
Yeah, the story has to happen. So the first thing is I've just brightened these up because we're kind of getting unnecessarily dark just with the values. And this is probably over-rendered for what we need for a sketch. Now it looks like you did some photo bashing in here, but you don't necessarily need to go to the level of photo bashing. Again, just some lines to suggest where things are is totally fine. We're getting into doing veining and teeth highlights and stuff. And really, just simple value blocks, if that, some lines to establish, totally fine. So again, it's not because that's wrong. It's because you have a limited amount of time before the sketch needs to be submitted, and it's more profitable to spend that time just dealing with composition,
just problem
posing,
solving.
yeah, because you're going to get a bigger payoff for the results of the time being put into that part of it than you are for getting more shading done at this stage. It's just because we're only going to choose one of these, which means that all of the time that you spent shading the other one essentially didn't accomplish anything. And it could
That's what we say to
yeah.
our people too, and you know, I call everybody on it just because you have your main priorities for everybody watching at this stage is really to try and problem solve your composition and position your shot, make sure all your elements are there, and solving that problem as many times as time permits. So like some images we've done up to 10 thumbnails or maybe more. I mean, they're just line drawings trying to solve the issue and try to find as many good solutions as we can to give ourselves choices. And if we spend a lot of time rendering or shading, then we won't have as much to explore those options.
So I just brightened it up a little bit so we can see it better. The next thing is A is working better than B because there's just not enough context of B to really establish kind of what's going on. It looks like the students are sort of in front of him or beside him, and we're not really getting a sense of the scale too much or where he's going or what's going on. This one at least feels like he's in front of them and he's going towards something, and we got some shadowy beast in the foreground. Now, this is a fairly classic scene as far as the gist of what's happening and the composition that you're dealing with, which is tall person coming towards camera kind of to attack. And for that, one of the most common solutions you see, really low horizon. You're getting the camera from, right now, the camera is like here. Eye level. We want to get that eye level down to like here so that everything looms up.
He makes him look bigger.
Yep. And we can get him bigger in the scene, right? Maybe he's hunched over. Maybe he's got the shield here. Right. He's got the spike ball.
I think it's called a mace. Is it called a mace? Spike ball. Spike ball.
And because the camera is so low, that means the camera is actually under the level of these beasties. So we're actually going to look, let's do it as a block. We're going to essentially see the underplane of their heads, right? Their jaws here. And then maybe you see their neck coming back, their ears going up if they have ears, I don't know. Eyes are up there, right? And then you see like front paw or whatever there, and then all of the perspective is really perspectivized here, and you're really looking like up at the archway, and the people are little back here because they're way far back in the background and they're just kind of sitting over the horizon. So see if you can find some images like that. I think Magic has some. I know Hearthstone has some. There's a couple of Hearthstone that I can think of that have that sort of composition.
That would just help you get like that 10% more impact out of your scene.
Yeah, aim for that. And with the lower perspective, something else that would allow you to do, it's not written in the brief, but it would allow you to have this guy here and maybe get a little more of Hogwarts kind of almost skyline behind him, so we're nice and low, so we can get a little more of the building shot back there. And that would help us place it in the right location. If it's in the courtyard, then maybe we even see like the tree or something, or the clock tower or something like that. A few iconic little silhouettes or buildings in order to set the location. Okay.
Yeah, so hope that was helpful, Javier. I don't know if he's here, but maybe he'll watch it later if he's not here.
Okay, Richard. Richard also tackling the Hippogriff Sky Race. And said, unfortunately, his drawing tablet died. Man, I feel for you being in the middle of a project, having your tech issues.
So stressful.
So these aren't the finalized sketches. One is more developed than others, trying to get a new tablet. Well, I hope that comes in quick for you, man. I know that that's just a pain to deal with. So we'll just kind of base it on what we've got, where we can go from here with it. Okay, let's start at the top here. Okay, a lot going on here. We got the rings, we've got the hippogriffs, the students flying around, we got little Hogwarts suggested back there. We got some spectators. We got some zooming hippogriffs coming through some rings. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, this is definitely your early sketch scene. A lot of the stuff hasn't been worked out yet here. Okay. So, off the top, be careful that you're not making this more complicated than it needs to be. All right? And that's what we're running into on a lot of these. Let's face it, this is a difficult scene to do as written. But you're going beyond as written to include, like, there was no mention of any spectators or stands. And the inclusion of these things, while maybe a fun idea, are really, really time consuming. And it just introduces an element that wasn't asked for. For again, I'd suggest always just make sure that you nail a vanilla option, the straight as written as one would expect from just reading it option. And then if you have an idea beyond that, then do that version too as an optional pitch. But make sure you do that one first. So here, again, we're talking about time priority, right? All right, I'm going to be a little tough on you, okay? A little tough on you. If we hadn't have spent the time trying to work out the perspective and the design for floating stands and drawing a bunch of crowd cheering, we could have got further along in the rest of the concepts.
Yeah, with the actual hippogriffs.
Yeah.
Which I feel like, they're roughed in, but could use a little bit more development and variety in terms of pose. Mm-hmm. And I really think pound for pound, your time would have been better spent on that than working out the other stuff that wasn't even in your brief. Yeah. And also, this is just for anyone watching this, thinking about this in a professional context. When we decide to add a crowd of people to an image that doesn't need it, like it's not in the brief, we're adding hours and hours of work. It's like, okay, the people that are far away, we're going to need to make a custom brush for that, or we're going to have to find a way to suggest that efficiently. We're going to have to paint at least some of the people that are up close. That's extra people, extra humans we have to add. And if they're close to camera, they have to have some, good level of resolution. So that's hours and hours and hours of extra work that you're adding that doesn't necessarily need to be there, that a client didn't ask for. So be careful, everybody, about doing this, because sometimes it's just not needed. And it actually results in kind of you making less per hour. Yeah. It's basically unpaid labor if this were a paid job. And you're adding, 10 hours worth of complexity to an image that you didn't need to. And then when you're short on time, all those extras, like we talked about with some other people, it actually takes your time away from solving your main issues, which are non-negotiables, like the 3 hippogriffs and their riders. Those are like absolutely essential to the brief and the scene. Really should be putting most of your focus on those. Yeah, that's unfortunately one of the issues we're running into here, where, okay, this guy, obviously prominent, main thing, but the other two, which were the other 2 main things in the brief, really start feeling like an afterthought. They just kind of get lost in the busyness of the stuff going on in the background, and that's problematic for the composition.
the other thing we're getting into, again, of making things maybe more complicated than they need to be, is I feel like you're trying to design slash redesign the hippogriff in these different poses, and I can tell that you're having some difficulty with it. One of the things here is like it's basically just flat to camera. Everything we're just seeing like flat down on it. And it's because this is a complicated thing to draw, and we're kind of getting the same thing here. This is just flat front view, no extensions, no really 3D on any of this. So I'm going to say something here, which is don't bite off more than you can chew. All right? And there's a balance here between pushing your skills and taking on more than you can reasonably do. You can push your skills. If something's a little beyond your comfort zone, it's good to push for it. Like, I'm going to use athletics. If you can run a 7-minute mile, push for a 6:50 mile. It's just outside of what you can do. Fine. But if you run a 7, don't try to run a 4, right? And I feel like you're making it so complex that the jump of complexity is really kind of hurting. The other thing is make use of the resources that are available. And that's what I'm kind of coming back to is, yeah, you could freehand work out the musculature and the skeleton of the hippogriff and figure out where the wings are going, or you could use a reference in which they exist. And there's a whole sequence in the movie.
There's lots of poses of it, and the wings in different positions. You can definitely use that as a reference. Like I would really encourage you to go get those references. It will just make it so much easier and less stressful for you trying to work everything out manually and mentally. And also like scale issues are kind of solved for you. And you can play around with scale, but at least this will give you like a really good starting point. So,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I encourage you to, and I don't want it to sound like we're being really hard on you or something. I feel like we've just critiqued you nonstop. But what I'm going to suggest is think about simplifying what you've got here. Okay, all the things that are not in the brief, just drop them. Like, we don't need this or these guys or this or any of this stuff back here. Let's just focus on the 3 riders. That is the most important thing to nail. And I feel like you're doing that here, although they kind of look like cars. Like the wings don't look very natural. So you would kind of have them more like that. If you wanted to have them
even
straight.
If they're tucked, we've got to have some elbows.
Or you could have them like that or like that. Like there's only certain poses that are natural on a bird. So I would, again, look at some birds or look at some Pegasus.
It's Pegasus.
Or, it's with a bird head. It's like a Pegasus with a bird head. And try to problem solve that. Don't worry about crowds of people, and because you're just putting yourself in a position where now you have to juggle all these elements and make them work together, and it's really getting complicated here. It's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna work, is what I'm saying, just based on these sketches. So I would drop it if it was me. The other thing you want to do, and I don't know if you're going to mention this, is, and we say this to everybody with no matter the brief, is you don't want to obstruct your focal point. And right now we're getting, I don't exactly know where this ring is, if it's in front of this guy or behind him, but wherever, it doesn't need to be there. This is an unnecessary distraction, and so is this one, to be honest. Again, it's crossing right into your focal point. We want to see this guy front and center. Remember, this is a 2-inch image on a card. We should be a lot closer here.
He should be taking up at least 50% of the canvas, and the other 2 placed behind him.
And if we have some rings back here, small ones back here with the clouds, that's fine. And we can get this guy a little bit closer in here. I'm drawing with a mouse, just forgive me. But, get both of these guys closer in here and make the rings really small in the background, we'll get enough context without blocking our characters, right? So that would be my suggestion going forward.
So what I was mentioning, I'll just mention this one thing and then we'll wrap it up. Just building on what I said and like pulling this up, I'm saying there's resources out there that you can avail yourself of. Mm-hmm. And believe me, we 100% do this as part of our normal work.
Yes.
Like, there's been multiple times I needed to illustrate a certain character or location. I would, like for Magic the Gathering, I would go watch the video release they made of the animated thing.
The cinematics.
Yeah, the cinematic.
We watched, their cinematics for whenever we can, if those are available. Yeah.
And go take screenshots from the cinematic, and then if I can use that as a basis, then I will do that. Like, whatever helps get you to that answer. Mm-hmm. There's probably Hippogriff flying levels or something in the Hogwarts game.
I don't know.
Can you pull up some footage of it on YouTube
if that's something that happens in game, you might even be able to see video of it on YouTube and just screen grab different angles or poses.
I know that I've been in the place where I was doing exactly what you're doing, which is I was freehanding it. I was trying to figure it all out by mechanics. I mean, like, it can be done, but just doesn't need to be done. And even if you do it, it probably won't have the level of accuracy as if you just had a good reference to look at.
Mm-hmm. So we encourage everybody to do that, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Just for your own sanity.
Yes.
It helps a lot.
Now, Zach is the last one we're looking at today. We appreciate everyone hanging out. Looks like we've been sticking about the same number the whole time, so that's cool.
Appreciate you.
And Zach is doing the other Wizards duel scene in the library.
So again, we're contending with the duel issue with the two characters fighting and having to be visible at the same time.
Yep.
And we're running into some of the same issues, right?
We are running into some of the same issues. It really does start from a good point of having that low camera angle, which allows us to get a lot more of the canvas is not the ground. I don't have a 3-pixel brush here. The ground takes up very little room, which means that we have a lot more real estate for the characters and the action taking place. So we're getting that here, and that's nice. Now, Zach's done a fair bit of study. He studied with us a fair bit as well. So we're going to push on him a little bit. I don't know if you're here, Zach. Hopefully...
let us know if you are.
We'll get you something here. One is that the magic being shown doesn't necessarily match the brief. The brief talks about magic from his wand, magic from their wand, hitting in the middle. Now, this took place in the Triwizard Cup movie, the Goblet of Fire, where...
There's a few scenes in which this occurred. Yeah.
So I would look at that. We're kind of looking for that. Right now is getting where this is so busy that as a card, you can't even see that guy. He's just lost in the jumble. Mm-hmm. So we've got to remove some of the effects, and we've got to probably get him closer. And I know that in real fake life with these wizards fighting each other, they wouldn't be this close, but we probably want to put this guy like here, right? We want him closer, or we want her.
She's got to be bigger.
Yeah.
He's got to be bigger too, but he can stay where he is if he's just twice the size and she's bigger, I think.
We will do that just real quickly because it's such a simple edit. Mm-hmm. We will just grab her. And when you have the camera angle this low, one of the great things is that you can scale people up like this, and it really doesn't make any difference because they're kind of independent from perspective at that point. So So that's why we can do that. And
You're still looking up at them, no matter if you scale them up or not.
All you're doing
so
is
low.
changing
Yeah.
this, but nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got that. And
Now let's try to simplify some of this. Your books are good. We're not painting out the books. We're just painting out the magic.
Let's see if we can get this guy a little bigger. Now we're talking.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're talking. Go just a little bit smaller. Here we go. So this is a good example of a lot of scenes. You can get a lot more out of them, not by redoing the entire scene, but just rebalancing the elements you got in it.
I also just don't think we need that there.
Yeah.
It's just cutting off the image, and I don't know that we're getting any payoff for it.
Yeah, if this was like a stack of books, it would give us give us contextual information. But even that, you could, like, if you wanted it there, you could at least just have less of it. Or you could see down the row, a little bit that way. And we can move this guy back here some. And then, wait. It's derping out, not giving me the color I'm clicking on. So that is just kind of a redo of the same elements. And,
And it might look like we're picking on you, but this is the difference between an image being accepted by a client and being canceled or shelved or, or sent back, is them really wanting the essence, the narrative that's in the description being showcased in the image. Like, clearly, unambiguously.
Yeah, and you can have, like, papers fluttering around the scene, like being blown out of books and stuff, just to add to the atmosphere of action. Yeah. So right there, that's what I'd go with. I'm going to circle back around because of the skill level you're at and the level that you're operating. I'm going to say the same thing that we said to some of the others, which is would have liked to have seen more composition options rather than a more rendered version. Like, we got full lighting on her, we're establishing the values, we've got books established, like we've got a lot of magic effects going on, but we only have one option to look at. So I don't know if you did multiple and you just chose this one as the best one, which I get that. And I think you can totally move forwards, but I would maximize what you've got with more of this direction. Obviously, this is a 2-minute paint over. Use more time. Be more nuanced than this. Go beyond what we've done here. But this would give you a better result for your time.
So I think that's it for us. Yep. I'm just going to go over to the chat now and ask you guys if you have any comments, anything that you want to say about the images or about the challenge. Do you like this challenge? What do you think about the briefs? Or do you have any questions for us about anything? Now is the time to let us know before we wrap up for today.
Yeah, so again, we will have 2 weeks before you need to do the color and values. Ideally, you would also send in 2 or 3 options on that, not just one, so that we can see what the best one is. and then 2 more weeks after that in order to send in the finals, and we'll give you some notes on that one as well. Now, if you guys like the 3 live stream format for the challenges rather than the 2, which we've done in the past, let us know. Let us know if the 6 weeks with the 3 check-ins you like better than the 4 weeks with the 2 check-ins.
Also, this theme was really popular. It sold out in record time.
Oh, yeah.
We never sold out so fast of tickets, so thank you to everybody who grabbed a ticket and was really enthusiastic about it. But we're also open to other themes. If you guys want to make suggestions or you have an idea of what you'd like to see, let us know in the Discord or in the chat right now. That would be fine. And we'll take that into consideration. I have an idea for the next one, but we haven't really settled on it. So it would be great to hear from you guys.
Yeah, just leave a comment in the YouTube video when it posts.
Oh yeah, that would be helpful.
And that would be the best way to let us know. We will keep an eye on that. And yeah, we have a list of different ideas that we keep. And if you hear a good suggestion, we'll add it to the list. Totally open to doing that. If you like the idea of getting a popular property like Harry Potter and doing essentially a TCG version for illustration, that's cool. We also do the concept art challenges as well. Concepting characters, mainly because we're not really environment conceptors. But if there's a property you want to see with that, we can do that as well.
Sorry, I'm new on the channel. I'm new to these kinds of streams. Anybody participate in these challenges? So the way it works is the participants that you've seen on the stream were people who bought tickets to participate in like the official challenge. But we do put all the briefs that we gave to them on the Discord, and we should put it in the description too of the video, maybe the last one, the final, so that anybody can go download and participate on their own. If you do participate on your own, you can post that in the Discord on social media, but we will not offer feedback. That's what the tickets are for, basically. So the people that want to get feedback from us directly have to pick up a ticket on registration day when we put the tickets on the website. If you want to participate in an official one, then the best thing to do is get on our mailing list, because we usually send out emails about upcoming challenges and the dates and the price, the tickets and all that. So if you go onto our site, swatchesacademy.com, and you go to the bottom of the page and just enter in your email address, you'll get onto our mailing list. And we don't spam. So we send out monthly newsletters. We haven't sent this month's out yet, but we will soon. And that usually has any relevant event information or announcements on it.
But the tickets themselves are open to anyone.
Yes.
So you don't have to be one of our students.
It's just first come, first serve. You just have to be there on launch day because people are there buying tickets really fast.
This one sold out. It's like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
This one sold out really fast. So if it's a popular one, then you probably want to go out there. And we tell you exactly, it usually opens on noon of a particular day. And then you want to go out there at that time. But yeah, we'd be happy to have you if you want to join in. We will have more challenges coming up later in the year. Like we said, we haven't set on exactly which challenge we're going to do next. But we'll talk about it and we'll announce it in newsletter, and we'll probably mention it on YouTube at some point.
Oh, Frank would love Mortal Kombat
Okay.
illustration challenge. It's good to know.
All right.
Kurt says Elden Ring TCG. I don't think that exists. There's like an Elden Ring board game.
There's an Elden Ring board game.
But I don't know if there's a TCG already. But that's good to know also. It's good suggestions.
Kurt's going to make one, so that'll be good.
Yeah, any other comments, suggestions, we're open to it. We'll wait a few more minutes and then we'll wrap up so everybody can go have their dinner or go to bed or whatever the time calls for.
I wish we could tell them about some of the new courses.
It's very exciting.
Well, I can tell you about mine. I've already announced it, so most of you probably already know, but I'm working on the character portraits class. A few people went through the early version of that class about 2 years ago, and I taught it live. And this is going to be a big rehaul of that. Just from the teacher side of it, I recognize that some of the exercises weren't working as well, and we needed to cover more of just straight portraiture and learning portraiture before we got into like editing the characters and creating original characters. So I'm doing a lot of rework to it to really make it have a lot of value. So that will be the next class that comes out. I'm really pushing on that on a daily basis to get it out. And then Dinah's working on a class, and then we have a couple of other new guys working on those. When we get far enough along on those that we think we have a release date, I'll let you know what those are. Yeah.
As Erica say, Bridgerton, TCG, or romance style. You know what? We once, I forget how long ago it was. Maybe it was last year. We had the poll. We had a poll for voting on the challenge themes, and I think there was a couple that won, but the romance illustration, fantasy romance illustration or book cover theme got a lot of votes. I think it was like it was like the second choice or something. Yeah. And so I didn't forget about that. And we are, look, you may not want this, but we are going to do a romance illustration challenge at some point, and it might be this year. So it might not be the next one, but I want to do it for sure.
There's enough people there for it.
Yeah.
I think they would do it. Yeah, we could just do a Jane Austen TCG.
Oh my gosh, who would play this? Jane Austen TCG.
Yeah. It's like, I refute your advance.
Yeah, that would be like millennial women my age that would 40-year-old women playing romance TCG. I don't know, but I think Jane Austen is maybe just too limited. We would need to include more romance couples.
And zombies. Pride, Prejudice, and zombies.
No, now you're just ruining it. Okay, it would be like we would have to touch on some of the popular things that the women are reading right now. But my point is, we are thinking about that theme. I'm thinking about it. He's probably not, but I'm thinking about that theme, and I know it's been suggested, and there were other people interested in it. So yes, it is in my mind to do, but it just might not be the very next one.
Yeah. Zombie romance.
Yeah, the zombies are falling in love.
Well, all of your killer ideas, leave them below. We'll check them out.
I like the Mortal Kombat idea also, yeah, and I like the Elden Ring idea.
Yeah, maybe do new characters.
We have to think about...
Oh, if it's illustration.
But if there's more suggestions, like specifically what would you be looking for? Like known characters, new characters. Yeah, just be as specific as you can for what you have in mind so that we know what you're interested in.
Pride and Prejudice card illustration would go crazy. Look at that. Girls would literally commit homicide for a ticket.
I don't know if that word's allowed on YouTube. Is it allowed?
I don't know.
You're going to get us banned.
I'll cut this part
out. We'll think about it. I don't know. Is Pride and Prejudice that popular anymore? I don't know if it is.
Well, I don't know. Maybe just like book cover Pride and Prejudice sort of thing. I don't know. We'll see.
Think about this.
Guys, you've been great, though. We hope that you picked up maybe a few art tips. All of the participants, hope you're encouraged to keep going. We just try to give you a few tips to just to refine the image, make some suggestions. Everything that we suggest from a point of being exactly where you are dealing with these exact same problems. And we're just trying to say, hey, these are some of the solutions that we found and other artists have found for those same things. So hopefully that's helpful to you. Stay tuned, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see you for the color rough part of the challenge. So I'm really excited to see what everyone does. And thanks again to all the participants.
Take care, guys.